Coming up on this episode of Messenger, we'll begin with inspiring updates from the Ontario Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Then we'll have a special segment of Fresh Faith, where young adults share their personal faith journeys. Today, we'll hear from Clecia Felician, columnist for The Messenger. Pastor Edwin Martin, Pathfinder Director for the Ontario Conference, will also join us to share valuable lessons on wilderness survival. Finally, Dwayne and Kinda Johnson will share the parenting lessons they learned through their first gardening experience. Stay tuned for an inspiring episode. Welcome to Messenger. In today's episode, we're focusing on a beautiful message from Jeremiah 31 verses 3 and 4. It says, "I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness. I will build you up again, and you will be rebuilt." This powerful verse reminds us that God's love for us is unchanging. No matter how broken we may feel, He promises to rebuild us and restore us. Today, we'll explore how this message of love and restoration can impact our daily lives, and how we can trust in God's plan for the future. If you'd like to help us continue sharing messages of hope, consider becoming an agent of hope. You can support this ministry through prayer or by donating. You can donate by credit or debit card, Apple Pay, or Google Pay. You can also donate by Interac e-transfer to Agents of Hope at hopetv.ca or by phone at 1-855-4HOPE-TV. If you prefer to send a check, please make it payable to Seventh-day Adventist Church in Canada at the following address: Hope Channel Canada at 1148 King Street East, Oshawa, Ontario, L1H 1H8. Your support through prayer or giving helps us continue spreading God's love and message of hope. Welcome to the news updates from around Canada. In October 2024, the Adventist Christian Fellowship ACF Institute took place in Lacombe, Alberta. We had an incredible turnout with 140 people registered. The event was a major success. It brought together students from all over the country for a time of learning, outreach, and spiritual growth. This year's ACF Institute was hosted on the beautiful campus of Burman University. The gathering focused on empowering young Adventist leaders to serve Christ on public campuses. It was a unique opportunity for students to network with other ACF chapters across Canada. They even met with leaders from the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Canada. During the event, attendees participated in a variety of workshops. These workshops were designed to equip them with tools to lead on their campuses. Topics included building your campus chapter, evangelism strategies, and dealing with tough questions of faith. One workshop titled How to Facilitate the Journey devotional series helped students learn how to lead spiritual discussions. This is a key part of ACF's mission to create vibrant communities of faith on secular campuses. One exciting feature of this year's ACF Institute was the campus outreach projects. These outreach initiatives took place at 3 major locations in Alberta: the University of Calgary, the University of Alberta, and Red Deer Polytechnic. Students and leaders went out to engage with others, share their faith, and offer community support. At these outreach projects, students participated in activities like prayer stations and free literature giveaways. They also had open conversations about faith. The goal was to connect with broader campus communities and share Christ's love in tangible ways. Many students reported meaningful interactions. Several peers even expressed an interest in learning more about ACF and Adventist beliefs. Another highlight was the keynote speakers. This year's speakers included Robert Zama, media evangelist for Hope Channel Canada, and Samuel Sinananar, speaker for Voice of Prophecy Canada. Their messages inspired students to embrace their mission to spread the gospel on public campuses. They also emphasized the role of media in today's evangelism. Both speakers highlighted the importance of faith, resilience, and community. Throughout the week, students enjoyed worship sessions, networking opportunities, and moments of reflection. These spiritual experiences deepened their personal walks with Christ. They also prepared them to go back to their campuses, ready to make a difference. To close the event, there was a final worship service and commitment ceremony. During the ceremony, students were invited to dedicate their lives and ministry efforts to Christ. Many students shared testimonies about how the week impacted their faith. They shared plans to take what they learned back to their campuses. This year's ACF Institute was a powerful reminder of the impact young people can have. When equipped and empowered, they can serve in amazing ways. We look forward to hearing more stories of faith and leadership from these young leaders as they continue to build communities of faith across Canada. That wraps up our news update on the ACF Institute. Thanks for tuning in to News Across Canada. This segment of the show is called Fresh Faith. This is where young adults share their personal stories of faith and growth. Joining me is Cleisha Felician, the writer of Fresh Faith for The Messenger magazine and a past member of Adventist Christian Fellowship, ACF. Cleisha, we're so excited to have you talk about your experience.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Cleisha, let's start with your involvement in ACF. What chapter were you a part of, and how did you first get involved?
Yes, so I was a part of an ACF chapter called Mustard Seed, and our chapter was located in Toronto, Ontario. And our main universities that were a part of it was Toronto Metropolitan University, the University of Toronto, George Brown College, and OCAD. So getting involved was pretty easy, actually. A lot of the chapters, including ours, have a Facebook page as well as an Instagram page. So you would just locate which chapter is closest to you. I realized mine was Mustard Seed, and I just went ahead on the Instagram page, looked and see when the events were, and then I started attending.
Awesome. ACF offers a range of activities from spiritual growth to community engagement. What types of activities did your chapter focus on during your time there?
Yes, so my chapter was really focused on outreach on campus, and especially during midterms and finals week, that's when students are really, really stressed. And if you know the college student stereotype, everyone's a little broke. So what we like to do was we would give out food and care packages to people during those times. And we found that the university students were so grateful. And it really shows you the importance of meeting the physical needs, and then you can meet their spiritual needs after.
That's great. Being part of a faith-based community like ACF can have a lasting impact. How did your involvement in ACF shape your personal faith and college experience?
Yeah, I think especially going to a public university, I know for me especially, and I'm sure other people experience the same thing, it can feel a little isolating. The classes are really big. You feel like just a number. And sometimes, especially being a community student, you just commute to school and you come back home and you don't really get to build those lasting friendships and relationships. So having a group like ACF where you can get together and also get together with people with a like-minded mindset and faith as you, I found was really helpful in just being able to make those connections in university and feeling like you're not alone as you go through the school year.
That's wonderful. There are always those standout moments when you look back on experiences like this. What's your favorite memory from your time in ACF?
That's hard. I think I'm going to have to group together all our Vespers. Our Friday night Vespers was definitely my favorite memories from ACF. It was a lot of young adults and everyone has their different opinions, and we had great discussions every single time we got together. And we also got to do fun activities, like we did a paint night, we did a bubble tea night. So it was something to look forward to, especially during school when everything is so stressful. You could always look forward to that Friday when you get to meet together and have a nice Vespers.
Excellent. For students who may be interested in joining ACF or starting a chapter on their campus, what would you say to encourage them to get involved?
Yes, so for those who don't know what a chapter is essentially your ACF group on your campus, and that's what we call a chapter. So if you're interested in starting a chapter, I would 100% say go for it. Sometimes you think that you're the only Seventh-day Adventist in your whole campus, and you would be so surprised by how many other people of your faith there is. So if you're interested and your university doesn't have one, definitely reach out to your conference youth director and see if they can set it up. And if you're not sure if your conference has one or your university has one, then you should definitely go on the ACF site and check it out and see if you have a chapter to join.
That's great. Thank you so much, Clecia, for sharing your ACF journey with us. It's inspiring to hear how ACF not only impacted your faith, but also shaped your overall college experience. For anyone interested in learning more about ACF or starting a chapter on their campus, check out the website at ACF Link. Thank you again, Clecia.
Thank you.
Next up, we have an exciting and practical segment with Pastor Edwin Martin. He's the Pathfinder Director for the Ontario Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Today, Pastor Martin will be talking about wilderness survival. It's an essential skill for Pathfinders. But even more importantly, he'll show us how survival in the wild connects to surviving life's challenges with God by our side. Pastor Martin, we can't wait to learn from you.
Hey Pathfinders, Pastor Martin here. Today we're talking about something exciting, wilderness survival. Whether you're camping with friends or exploring nature, knowing how to survive in the wild is super important. But guess what? Just like we prepare for survival in the wilderness, God helps us prepare for challenges in our spiritual lives. Let me show you a few tips to help you survive in the wild. The first thing you need in the wild is shelter. If you're caught in the wilderness, you need to protect yourself from the rain, wind, or cold. You can build a simple shelter with a tarp, rope, or even sticks and leaves. This keeps you safe and gives you a place to rest. Just like we need shelter in the wild, we need God as our shelter in life. Psalm 46 verse 1 says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. When life gets tough and the storm feels too strong, God provides a safe place for us. We can always go to Him in prayer to find peace and protection. Fire is another important survival tool. It keeps you warm, helps you cook, and can keep wild animals away. But starting a fire can be tricky without the right tools. You need matches, kindling, and dry wood. Having fire helps you survive and stay safe in the wilderness. Fire is like the light God gives us in our lives. When things get dark or confusing, God's light guides us and keeps us safe. In John 8:12, Jesus says, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. We need fire to see and stay warm the same way. We need God's light to guide us through life's challenges. What if you get lost in the wilderness? One of the most important tools is a map. A map shows you the right way. If you follow it, you won't be lost. This reminds me of how God guides us when we feel lost in life. Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." God uses the Bible as our spiritual map to point us on the right path. So Pathfinders, remember, whether you are in the wilderness or facing challenges in life, you are not alone. Just like a good survival kit helps you stay safe, God gives us everything we need to survive in life. He is our shelter, our light, and our guide. Trust Him and He will take care of you no matter what. Keep these survival tips in mind and remember to trust God in everything you do. See you next time.
Hello everyone, my name is Ivaldo Vicente and I'm the editor of the Messenger magazine. I trust you've been enjoying the programming on Hope Channel Canada so far and have been inspired to bring hope to your community as well. I do want to take a moment to remind you of all the ways that you can watch The Messenger. You can visit hopetv.ca or on our YouTube channel at Hope Channel Canada. You can also view it on the free Hope Channel app, which can be downloaded onto your phone or tablet via the App Store or Google Play Store. You can also download the app on your smart TV via Roku or the Amazon App Store. And make sure to select Hope Channel Canada. Finally, we're also on cable TV under channel 893 on Eastlink, Delta and Coastal, and also channel 94 on City West. Now lastly, I do want to share that as you are watching these programs, you may be wondering how you can get to know more about Jesus and how He can bring more to your life. As Hope Channel Canada, we always say there is more to life. And so if you want to find about that more, we have a Bible study platform called Hope Study that can help you do just that. Please visit hopestudy.ca to learn more and register yourself. Thank you again for watching and joining us in this movement of letting Canadians know that with Jesus, there is more to life.
Thank you, Pastor Martin, for those inspiring survival lessons. Just as we prepare for challenges in the wilderness, it's important to be equipped for the challenges we face in life. Speaking of life lessons, up next we have a special interview with Dwayne and Kinda Johnson. They've discovered some incredible parenting insights through their first gardening experience. Hello, Dwayne and Kinda. Thank you for joining us. You started this journey with seeds that were near expiration, yet they still sprouted. Tell us about that. How did it connect with raising your kids?
A hope and a prayer, but it was really my wife's idea, so I'll let her answer that question.
So at the time we were homeschooling our children, we had 3 very small children. And what we wanted to do is we wanted something that our family could do together for the summer. After reading the book Education, we realized how important gardening was, and speaking to a few friends, we thought this would be the perfect thing to do as a family. As we embarked on this journey, I started realizing how much it aligned with the lessons we're learning for parenting and how beneficial it is and how God was guiding us in that way and showing us that these seeds that we planted, though they were near expiration, which I had no clue seeds can expire, so that was new for me. It was God that gave it life. And the seeds started sprouting. And it is the same thing with our children. We don't control their growth. It is God that gives them life. And we look to God for the wisdom in how to raise and to grow them and provide the right environment.
Yes. You also mentioned that gardening quickly became a family project. What was it like for you all to work together in preparing the soil and nurturing those plants?
Well, gardening we learned was a labor-intensive passion. And so our efforts in the beginning was really to ensure that we created the right environment, and we put a lot of time into reading books and material, consulting with friends, my parents, my mom especially, in how we can set that right foundation in our preparation. And similarly with having children, we want to ensure that everything is set up right. We go and get the onesies and we set up the nursery. We want to ensure that the environment is suited for or plant or bundle of joy, as they say.
Great. And pruning, it's such a powerful metaphor for parenting, removing what isn't beneficial to allow for healthy growth. How did that unfold for you as parents?
Pruning, as you said, a very powerful metaphor, one that I think we reflected on a lot throughout the process as we were learning how to prune and learning the sacrifices that would be made cutting away what seemed like good fruit at the time, but to enable the nutrition and the health of the plant, to enable the plant to thrive. And as I kind of went down the rabbit hole of pruning and understanding that it's not just a focus on producing good fruit, but the energy that's harnessed from the sun. The intent of pruning is to also allow for that energy to reach to the roots that's on the ground, to ensure that the whole plant is thriving and not just the production of fruit, but the roots are maintaining it's anchoring the plant, and that the trunk is doing what it needs to do. So the pruning was essential for all parts of the plant, for the harmonious development of the plant. Yeah.
As with our children, we want to create a harmonious development, not just one aspect, but all aspects of their life to grow in the way that God desires them to grow, spiritually, mentally, and physically. But you have to get rid of some of the bad, all of the bad, and there are some good things that seem good that you want to get rid of as well.
Yes. You also talked about giving your plants support. How do you relate that to providing guidance for your children?
So I think of Proverbs 22:6, where it says, train up a child in the way that they should go. When we train up a child the way that they should go, we don't start when they're older. We start when they're younger, which it says then when they are old, which is the promise, they will not depart from it. That truth that you've instilled in them early. I think about the tomato plant. I didn't realize I had to stake them before they started growing. So when they started growing, I was like, my plants are bending and breaking.
Oh no.
Why? And my mother-in-law said, because you didn't stake it. You have to put the sticks in prior. Don't wait till they're bigger. You have to do it when they're small so they grow tall. Mm-hmm. Like our children, if we want them to grow upright in Christ, we have to give them the right foundation early. And then when they reach those adolescent years where those are challenging times, they have a foundation that they can hold on to. No different, as I said, from the plants that we were growing. We saw that in the raising of our children as well.
Excellent. Finally, you emphasize the importance of the right environment, both for plants and children. Why is that key?
Go ahead.
Well, we understand that our children are learning from us in our environment. They're not just what they're ingesting from us in a intentional way, but even the things that are unintentional, or habits or disposition they're learning from. And so and likewise with our plants, that there are a lot of factors and elements beyond just the soil that affects the growth of the plant that we have to take care of as well and be mindful of. And I think my wife has a poem that we usually share with our children. We have it up in our home as well as a reminder for us as parents.
And the poem is called Children Learn What They Live. And it's understanding that ultimately the goal is character development for the kingdom. So the poem says very simply, if children live with criticism, they learn to condemn. If children live with hostility, they learn to fight. If children live with ridicule, they learn to be shy. If children live with shame, they learn to feel guilty. If children live with tolerance, they learn to be patient. If children live with encouragement, they learn confidence. If children live with praise, they learn to appreciate. If children live with fairness, they learn justice. If children live with security, they learn to have faith. If children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. If children live with acceptance and friendship, they learn to find love in the world. And this is what we realize. It's what we do now will help who they become later.
And I want to preface as well that we have 3 young children, 4 children in total, but 3 young children, and we're not experts. And just like what we understand with gardening, it's an experience of learning. And so we're still learning, and we're adapting new knowledge, and always consulting God's words, God's inspired words for guidance as well.
That's powerful. Thank you, Dwayne and Kinda, for sharing your inspiring journey. Just like nurturing a garden, raising children requires patience, care, and faith. As we heard today, God has a plan for each of us, just like he cares for each seed we plant. Jeremiah 31 verses 3 and 4 reminds us of God's everlasting love and how he builds us up, restoring us with his grace. As we reflect on today's stories, I want to remind you that you can be an agent of hope. By supporting this ministry, you help us share God's message of love across Canada. You can donate in several ways: by Interac e-transfer to Agents of Hope at hopetv.ca, or by phone at 1-855-4-HOPE-TV. If you prefer to send a check, please make it payable to Seventh-day Adventist Church in Canada at the following address: Hope Channel Canada at 1148 King Street East, Oshawa, Ontario, L1H 1H8. Your prayers are another powerful way to support this ministry. If you're inspired by today's stories, consider subscribing to the Canadian Adventist Messenger magazine. You'll find more stories like Dwayne and Kinda's. You can get a free subscription through your local Seventh-day Adventist Church in Canada, or subscribe for just $20 a year. Thank you for joining us today. Let's keep sharing God's love and be messengers of hope in our communities.